Hi friends. So in the first episode of our new series called Samajh Ke Rato, today we are going to talk about the causes of chin deviation. We know there are a lot of conditions like TMJ ankylosis, CCG overgrowth, condylar fractures, condylar hypertrophy, condylar resorption, condylar pathology, hemifacial microsomia, where we see either ipsilateral, that is towards the same side, or contralateral, that is towards the opposite side, deviation of chin. Now, how do you remember which side is going to be deviated? No marking up, just straightforward basic funda. Just remember one basic funda. If this is the mandible, okay, and there is condition is causing no movement or no growth. If there is no movement or no growth of one side, that means the other side is growing. This side is not growing, the other side will be growing, and if this is the midline, then there will be deviation of the chin towards the side of pathology or towards the side of condition, okay, or also called the ipsilateral side. So if there is a TMJ ankylosis, what happens in TMJ ankylosis? One side is not growing, other side is growing. So the growing side will push towards the non-growing side and cause ipsilateral deviation of chin. Similarly, when there is a condylar fracture, if there is a fracture here, that means this joint is not moving. So no movement or no growth. This side is not moving, but this side is moving. So when the patient opens the mouth, this side will move. It will deviate the jaw to the other side, causing ipsilateral side movement. Or if this side is resorbing, that means if there is a unilateral condylar resorption, that means this side has become short. When this side becomes short, other side is normal, or if other side is elongated, that means this side will open to X limit, this side will open to 2X limit, because either this is excessively long as we see in condylar hyperplasia, or this side is abnormally short as we see in condylar resorption. So the short side will move to a certain limit, the long side will move more, which will also cause deviation of chin to the shorter side, that is towards the ipsilateral side. So whenever there is a reduction in movement, reduction in growth, reduction in length, the chin will deviate to the same side or the ipsilateral side. Whenever there is excessive growth, like we see in CCG overgrowth, in CCG, that is the costochondral graft, when it overgrows, in CCG overgrowth or in condylar hypertrophies, there is excess growth. So in cases of, or when there is a condylar pathology, suppose there is an osteochondroma or any tumor in the condyle which is growing, so there is excess growth. So whenever there is an excess growth, there will always be contralateral deviation. That means that side is growing more, it will push the mandible to the other side, and there will be contralateral deviation. One very important point in the basic funda is all the deviation that you see will only be seen in unilateral cases. It will never be seen in bilateral cases. Okay, so if you have a bilateral TMJ ankylosis, both sides are not growing, so there will be no deviation. If there is a bilateral condylar fracture, both sides are not moving, so there will be no deviation. If there is a bilateral condylar resorption and if it is equal, both sides will be short, both sides will be in the same place, there will be no deviation. So deviation of chin will only and only be seen in unilateral cases, never ever in bilateral cases. Or if the bilateral cases are having unequal growth, yes, then it can be there. Otherwise, mostly it will be seen in unilateral cases. Very quickly showing you some examples. First one, TMJ ankylosis, ipsilateral deviation. Why? you can see this first case here. This boy, this side is normal, so it is growing and pushing the chin to the other side. This side where we have fullness, it is not growing. So this is the normal midline and this is the chin. So deviation towards the side of TMJ ankylosis. So ipsilateral deviation. Similarly, you can see this boy. This is the nasal midline. This is the chin midline. Why? Because the left side has TMJ ankylosis, the right side is normal. So same side, ipsilateral side deviation. Very well you can appreciate. This is the nasal midline and this is the chin midline. So ipsilateral deviation, deviation of chin towards the side of the pathology. You can see that there is a ankylotic mass present on the left side. So this side does not grow. This side grows. When it grows, it pushes the chin towards the other side. This side cannot push it, so there is deviation towards the affected side, known as ipsilateral deviation of chin. Okay, again, like I said, it will not be seen in bilateral cases. Why? Because bilateral cases, both sides are not growing. So this side is also not growing, this side is also not growing, and there will be an open bite but no deviation of chin. Chin will be symmetrical in the midline. Okay. Next we see CCG overgrowth. So whenever we treat a pediatric patient with TMJ ankylosis, we often use the costochondral graft because that's a growing graft. The only disadvantage with CCG is that it can overgrow. And like I said, whenever there is overgrowth or whenever there is excess, there will always be contralateral deviation. So this is how we take a costochondral graft from the ribs. We put it in the place of the gap arthroplasty that we have done and we fix it with 2 screws. But this graft can grow faster or more than the normal side. And when it grows faster than the normal side, it will grow more, there will be excess and there will be deviation to the contralateral side. That is towards the opposite side, and that is the case where we have to remove that extra growth side. We have to trim that extra costochondral graft which is overgrown. Okay, so that is the case with CCG overgrowth. Next we have condylar fractures. Very straightforward. Whenever there is a fracture, the ramus becomes short, that joint becomes dysfunctional, other joint is normal, other joint is working, the other joint will open the mouth and it will cause deviation of the chin towards the affected side, because here there is loss. Whenever there is a loss or whenever there is a shortening, there will be ipsilateral because that side is not moving. So there will be ipsilateral deviation. Again, whenever there is a bilateral case, that is both sides condylar fractured, both sides are not working. So no deviation of chin in bilateral cases. Next, condylar hypertrophy or condylar hyperplasia. We've seen these cases whenever there is excess growth of condyle on one side. Okay, you can see in this boy or you can see in this girl, there is excessive growth of one side. Okay, this is usually diagnosed in technetium 99M MDP scans, which is a nuclear medicine scan. You can see how one side is growing very rapidly. It is causing crossbite on the other side, and in such cases, obviously, because this condyle is growing very fast as compared to this, there will be deviation towards the opposite side. Excess, opposite. Resorption or reduction, ipsilateral. Okay, you can see here and you can appreciate that this condyle is excessively long as compared to this normal condyle. So, in cases of condylar hypertrophy, contralateral deviation. Opposite to that is condylar resorption. Okay, usually we see ICR bilaterally. And like I said, whenever there is bilateral, no deviation of chin. But in cases when there is a unilateral resorption, like you can see here, there's a unilateral resorption of condyle. So that side has become short. The other side is normal. So the other side will grow, cause deviation towards the non-growing side, that is towards the resorption side. So ipsilateral deviation. Condylar pathology which is growing, like a tumor. A tumor of the condyle which is growing will be similar to condylar hypertrophy. Just it's a pathological hypertrophy. And it will grow, it will push the condyle, it will push the chin towards the opposite side. So contralateral deviation. Okay, and the last is some congenital conditions like hemifacial microsomia. Hemifacial microsomia is the second most common craniofacial congenital syndromes, which causes half of the face to be underdeveloped. If you see this boy, this half of face is normal, and this half of face, the ears, the zygoma, the mandible, most of it is underdeveloped. And because of the underdevelopment, there is short condyle, there is short ramus, and everything is small. Whenever there is small reduction in length or resorption, the other side will be normal and it will push it towards the affected side. So again, there will be ipsilateral deviation of chin. Alright? So this is the samajhne wala part, so that you don't have to mug it up. You can just understand that what is the condition doing. Ankylosis, it is stopping growth. CCG overgrowth, it is increasing growth. Condylar fracture is stopping movement. So whenever there is a stop or resorption or reduction, ipsilateral. Ipsilateral, 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 ipsilateral. Whenever there is a reduction in growth, reduction in movement, or reduction in length. And whenever it is the opposite, contralateral, contralateral, contralateral. Now sometimes facial nerve palsy is confused with chin deviation. It is not causing chin deviation at all. So don't get confused with facial nerve palsy. Facial nerve palsy can happen in any surgery. In any of these surgeries, you can have facial nerve palsy. Why? Because you're operating in the region of the facial nerve, in the region of the terminal branches of the facial nerve. So whenever you are doing a surgery for ankylosis or some parotid tumor or some condylar fracture or condylar hypertrophy, ICR, any surgery that you are doing near the facial nerve can cause facial nerve palsy. If you are doing the surgery very, very carefully, if you are not injuring the facial nerve, then the palsy will be temporary because of the surgical swelling, because of the surgical edema. But if you have resected the nerve, you have not taken care of the nerve, if it is transected, then the facial nerve palsy can be permanent. Most of the times, it's always a transient or a temporary facial nerve palsy that you can see in any of these surgeries. It will not cause any deviation of chin. It will only cause the soft tissues or the facial expression, the muscles of facial expression to be affected. For example, I did arthrocentesis for this girl on the right side. When I did an auriculotemporal nerve block, I also blocked the facial nerve. Because of that, the right facial nerve, there is a local anesthesia of the right side facial nerve. So, eyebrow movement is gone, her smiling or lip movement is gone. Okay, all the movements, the nasolabial fold is gone on the right side. But since it is only due to the effect of the local anesthetic, she recovered within few hours. And on next day when she came to me for follow-up, everything was restored back. The smile is normal, the folds are normal, the facial nerve palsy is transient or temporary. And remember, it can be seen in all the surgeries that are done in and around the facial nerve. Alright, so now you know what causes ipsilateral and what causes contralateral deviation of chin. So now that आपको समझ आ गया है, को रटने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. So समझ के रटो.